Today we're here with the IDI DV23 Vacuum package. We're going to go through the unpackaging and the setup. So this here is your vacuum. When you get the package, it's going to come on 3 pallets. 1 pallet for the vacuum and 2 pallets for the hoses and the other accessories. If you have this equipment shipped to you third party, just make sure that you inspect it for damage before you sign anything with the freight carrier, just to make sure that you don't have any damage on the equipment. Once you do that, then we go through, we unpackage everything. We're going to cut off all the plastic, cut off the banding on the vacuum, and then we're going to cut off all the plastic on the accessories as well. Back behind the engine, there's usually a little packet like this. You can open that up, and that's where you're going to find your manual for the vacuum, manual for the engine, and some hoses and stuff to help do the oil change on the vacuum. Make sure that you read the manual before you start to operate the machine. There's a lot of good information in there about the equipment. Now over here with the accessories, you're going to get 3 boxes of 6-inch hose. You're going to get 1 box of 4-inch hose, 10 vacuum bags, your hose connectors and clamps, that way you can run all your hose. And then there's also a 6-inch to 4-inch reducer. Some contractors will run 6-inch the entire way. Other contractors like to reduce from 6-inch down to 4-inch, just because it's a lot easier to handle a 4-inch hose up in the attic as compared with a 6-inch hose. Less weight, more flexible, just a lot easier to move around up there in the attic. So we've got our mark about 10 feet. I'm going to just take our knife and cut that. Now to attach the hose, we'll just put a hose clamp over top of the hose and slide it onto your tube here. Now when you put it on, the vacuum does come with safety switches. We want to make sure that we do depress these safety switches fully. If we don't have this, the engine won't turn over. So make sure that's on there where it's depressing that switch and tighten that down. I do like to grab the hose and give it a little pull just to make sure that the hose isn't going to blow off while you're doing your removal. Open up your vacuum bag. Put a clamp over that. And then put the hose right into the bag. Tighten that down. I have seen some contractors will use like a bungee cord or something and wrap this around, make that quicker to replace this instead of doing the clamp every time. If you do that, just make sure that it is on there snug so that that hose or that the bag won't blow off of the hose. So there, it pulls the bag away from the vacuum. That way all the dust is going to dissipate over here and not get sucked into the engine. We're just going to repeat this on the other side. Put our clamp back on the hose. Slide that on. Again, we have a safety switch here. We want to make sure that we get that fully depressed. Give that a good pull. Then on the other end, we're going to put in our connector, clamp, and then we can just keep adding more hose as much as we need to. Some contractors will run 6-inch the whole way. Others prefer to reduce down to that 4-inch hose. That's where you would use your reducer section. And you can reduce from the 6-inch down to the 4-inch. A lot of installers like that just because a 4-inch hose is a lot easier to move around in an attic than a 6-inch hose. Now these vacuums do ship with oil in them, but you always want to pull out the dipstick and check the oil level every time before you start up the engine. Pull that out, check our oil level, looks good. We're ready to run. Now adding fuel to the vacuum, it just takes regular unleaded gasoline. The fuel tank is right back here. You can just twist that off. There is a blue filter in there just to filter out any dust that you may have in the air. It's always a good idea if you need to refill during the job shut down for a few minutes, let all the dust get out of the air before you add gasoline. Now before you can start it up, you always want to make sure that your fuel shutoff is shut off anytime you're not running the vacuum. If you're transporting it or anything, make sure that's turned off. When it's going against the hose, that's closed. When we twist it open, in line with the fuel line, now that's open, now we're ready to run. Like I said, if you're transporting it or not using it, leave it here. When you're ready to run, put it right there. The key will ship attached right here. We just need to cut this zip tie off. Your key goes right back here. We want to make sure that our safety switches are all depressed. We've got our key in, our choke is right here. Just push that forward. Now after we have the vacuum running, right here is our throttle. Whenever you're doing a removal, you can usually run full throttle. And the tachometer down here, that shows your hours. It is a generic tach, so it'll tell you to lube every 25 hours. The engine oil on this vacuum needs changed every 100 hours. You can clear that out, but just follow the hours on the meter. Don't follow the lubing, the oiling instructions on that meter. You want to follow the hours. Every 100 hours, change the oil. Now, a couple things on this. When we first started the engine, remember we had that fuel shutoff? It takes a little bit to pull some gasoline into that fuel line. That's why it took so long to start up. A couple other things, the choke, you saw we put that on and then move that back and forth as we need to. The throttle, I always started on slow, and then once you get it running, you can rev that up, run it at full RPM. The other thing is when you do operate the machine, make sure that you're running it outside, not inside of a box truck or inside of a trailer. Have it on level ground. We always need fresh air. Now this vacuum does come with a defender box. This box right here will filter out all of the debris that's in the insulation. You can easily open it up here, and you can see when we open it, there's also a safety switch here. You cannot run the machine. If I try to turn this over right now, it's not going to do anything until we have that switch depressed. So when you're running, every time you change the vacuum bag, you want to come in here and clean out all the debris. If this gets too full, it's not going to be able to filter out the material that we need filtered out. So every time you change the bag, make sure that you're cleaning this box out. So that's the unpackaging and setup of the DV23. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or if we can help in any way, please contact us here at IDI.